Assalamu alaikum. Hazur.
Wa alaikum. Would you have to bend, unfortunately, because mashallah you are very tall and this poor microphone is so short.
My name is Abdul Rakib Wali from Merced Jamaat.
Right.
And my question is around the hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes.
When the companions came to him and they said, "Oh Hazur, when you're with us, we're full of spirit.
Yes.
But when you leave us, the spirit
We're not
leaves
the
us."
same. We're not the same. Yes.
Right, we're not the same.
Correct.
I see the very same thing happening to us. When our Khalifa is here, I see Ahmadis coming out of the walls. But when you leave us, they seem to leave us as well. And I'm wondering.
I understand this problem, but the hadith is not applicable here.
I know. But my question is, Hazur, is what can we do?
I'm going to tell you exactly what you should do.
Okay.
First of all, please sit down. This hadith deals with a different situation, where somebody who sits in the presence of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his whole thinking changes, and he only thinks of good things in life, has good resolutions, has good ambitions to follow. And when he goes away for some time, gradually it dies down, that special enthusiasm, and it's not always the same. But here you are talking of those who don't even come to the mosque, who are sort of truants, who remain Ahmadis in belief and may practice a bit of Ahmadiyyat, which is not too hard for them to practice, but in coming to the mosque, in participating in communal programs, in participating in tabligh, in paying chanda, all these things, they're just lukewarm, if not less. That is a state of disease we are talking about. That was not a state of disease. That is why Rasulullah explained to this man, don't worry. He was extremely worried for his faith. He said, perhaps I am a munafiq, I am a hypocrite. Why these two positions, two changing situations in my thinking, heart, etc., etc.? Rasulullah said, no, it happens, when you're in presence of, you're close to heat, you feel hot. When you're away, you feel cold to the degree that you're away from the heat. So there are people who are salihin, whose company also is good for you. That is a different phenomenon. So don't mix up these two things. Now here, those people who you are talking about, I have also noticed there is a big difference between LA Jamaat and San Francisco Jamaat. No comparison. They are united, they are one, they participate in everything good, they are productive with the grace of Allah, and their standard of chanda paying is not at all to be compared with yours yours is not to be compared with theirs, I mean. Because you are scattered, there is lack of leadership. There is lack of center, and they are yet to be organized. And for that, something has to be done. One thing will be done in near future, of which I would like to be aware. You see, a day-to-day contact, you said with me, for instance, is beneficial in some regards, but not through MTA. We are going to establish almost daily contact with me directly. All Ahmadis of all ages will be able to listen to me, learn things from me, and give me an opportunity to advise them on this and that. That will be done, inshallah, very soon. You see, Europe, with the grace of Allah, is benefiting largely from this. Pakistan is benefiting, other Asian countries. The only place which did not benefit from the Muslim television Ahmadiyya was America and also Canada to a degree. People used to ask me, you're everywhere, daily services of Ahmadiyya television are reaching far and wide everywhere, but not America. I said, because they are poor people, they can't pay. You see, Africa is not poor, Fiji is not poor, Australia is not poor, but America is poor. So they were surprised. I said, I'm talking in relative terms. If they had will, they would come up and they can easily afford to pay the whole entire bill. But sometimes there is a vicious circle. You can't do it because you have been cut off for long. You're too scattered. You're breathing your breath in an atmosphere which is toxic and polluted for religion. You don't know it, but this is exactly the case. Where materialism at its highest pinnacle, and the rest of the world is lying so low as far as materialism is concerned. So to counter this, it is highly important that your daily contact with the center is established and promoted as much as possible. The lack of that has produced that state of lethargy or semi-death. And to counter it, that must have been started. So with the grace of Allah, Canada has offered the sacrifice which USA could not. They have built an earth station in Washington at their cost in your country. And they are going to have 3 hours daily programs for all the United States as well as for Canada, of course. Now in these programs there will be many interesting things. I'll speak of some only. But I'm going to tell you the timings. Daily for the west coast of America, there will be 3 hours programs starting from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And for the eastern coast, from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So both will share the same program at different times, although they will be simultaneous. Now the programs will cover many things. For instance, teaching of the Quran and its meaning. I have already started those lessons in UK, and those lessons are broadcast or televised to all the rest of the world except Americas. And now inshallah a collection of the same videos will be sent to this center. This is now being built. And daily those children who understand Urdu will be able to learn the Quran from me directly in Urdu, and those who cannot understand Urdu will have the option of a second channel in English. And gradually we will build the channels, as we have already done in Europe, to 8 language channel program. The video program would remain the same. The option of channel would give you an opportunity to see the same program but listen the same program either in Urdu or Arabic or English or Turkish or German or French and so on and so forth. So that is one very important program where inshallah the whole world of Ahmadiyyat will be taught the Quran, its teaching, its correct pronunciation by me directly. And if you make it a point to shut off all other nonsensical programs, the hollow and meaningless, only inviting you to evil, and sit before this television, inshallah, that will remove that hurdle between your contact with me daily. You know, a sort of contact will be established. The second interesting program, which will be teaching of languages. Now the whole world of Ahmadiyyat is spread out to 5 continents, and it's impossible for me to remain in touch with them in a language which they can well understand. Urdu speaking are of course a few 100,000, but maybe a million or 2 million. But what about the rest of the world? For that I have, again with the grace of Allah, with His help, invented a new system of teaching languages without the help of any other language. So already I have started on teaching Urdu, and it's, although it's not translated, but the visual method of instruction is so clearly understandable that its other versions are also prepared now. English, Arabic, German, French, and some other important languages of the world, so that in Europe very soon they will have 8-channel language programs available. And when your television begins, we'll also send copies to them so that here you can do the same thing. I'm not sure whether you will have the availability of as many channels as in Europe we have managed, but I think 2 is a minimum. So you will have the option of learning Urdu and Arabic, but not as an option that you have to sacrifice one for the other. An option in the sense that you can record one program in the second language you want to learn, and listen to the program in the first language, and in that way you can learn 2 languages if there are only 2 channels available. Now the system is exactly as you teach your children. When you teach your children any language, they don't know even the shadow of the concept of that language at all. They come out absolutely clean-sheeted. And yet you begin to teach them. The mothers do. Despite the fact that they are not educated, they have not taken any lessons or from any government or any certificate from any university. Yet each mother can teach her language to her child. This is nature. This is a system which God has devised. So for months upon months, the mother goes on saying things which she knows the child has not registered. And yet she is not tired. She goes on repeating with sign languages and this and that, and apparently for 8, 9, 10 months or even a year, the child seems not to have learnt anything, except for mumbling, a few mumblings here and there. But the mother is wrong. The child does learn. This is how God has created the brain. Layer upon layer of knowledge is being laid until it becomes thick enough and strong enough to begin to articulate itself, and then the language follows. Then the child's mumblings are no longer mumblings. Then he clearly says, Abba, Ummi, Ao, Khao, give me food, this and that. And then from then on the pace is very rapid. So with the grown-ups who already know languages, or one language at least, the process is much faster. So I have planned to first of all teach Urdu to the whole world of Ahmadiyya. So in Africa, in America, in name a country, and there these lessons will be learned directly from me without my knowing their languages. But they will learn Urdu within a matter of 6 months to a degree, to a standard that from then on it will be a fast going on. Then we'll make a pause and teach them how to read and write. You see, look at the task of translating all the books of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam from Urdu to hundreds of languages. Who is qualified for that job? And Ahmadiyya is spreading so fast, it's impossible to find qualified translators in so many languages. You see, already we know Ahmadis belong to 140 countries where the first important languages can only be counted, say, within 30, 40. But they are minor languages. So many who don't know the major language, which is sort of lingua franca in that country. So instead of going through all the trouble and patience to translate the books and the sermons and other things into different languages, why not teach them Urdu so that they can directly benefit? And then scholars will be created from among them. Then their future generations would be knowing Urdu like their mother tongue. And they would do all the literary work for Ahmadiyyat required in their respective areas. So this is the system which has already been tested and proved effective. First of all the world knows it is effective. It's God's system. It's only for you to employ it properly and effectively. And with the grace of Allah, for the last 11 lessons which I recorded, we have seen very encouraging results. People of old age, comparatively older age, who thought they could not learn any other language. I'm talking of one Arab gentleman, a very scholarly person. He knows Arabic and English, but didn't know Urdu. So he thought perhaps it would be too difficult and perhaps rather late in life for him to start learning Urdu. I said, come on, sit and listen, but there is one condition I must lay upon this. The condition is, for God's sake, do not try to remember anything. When you try to remember, you will be under tension and you will not remember anything. Be a child, be relaxed, submit. This is Islam, to submit, to hand yourself over to somebody and just relax. So you do not remember, make it a promise. Just listen and enjoy. And during that relaxed mood, within 11 years, he's understood many sentences, he started asking questions, even he started laughing at jokes which I said only in Urdu. So that is why I said, we have tested this system. With the grace of Allah, the result is actually fabulous. So inshallah, you will sit with me daily. Your children, English-speaking children, will begin to learn Urdu, and it will be fun as well. And also, Arabic will be available simultaneously, and other languages. So it will be very interesting, some hours spent daily with us. Then already I have started the teaching of homeopathy. Now I know some very staunch anti-homeopathic doctors who couldn't hear a word of homeopathy. They thought it's all hocus pocus. Now they are sitting very, like obedient pupils, totally submissive, and now they admit they were wrong. Now, why I'm doing it? Because Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-ilmu ilmane, ilmul adyane wa ilmul abdane. The knowledge is only of two types. The rest is just myths and things. One, the knowledge of sciences, bodies, physical knowledges, which is science. And the rest is knowledge of religion and faith. One is important for this world, the other is important for the other world. So, as I am trying to improve the quality of your spiritual life, so I thought, why not also try to improve the quality of your physical life? So why not spend a few hours with Ahmadiyya Jamaat? There will be songs, lovely, wonderful songs without music, and there will be many other interesting programs about the lives of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam and his companions, history of Islam, history of Ahmadiyya, and also controversial issues as we see them against the other mainstream Muslims and so on. So just wait for that program to begin, and inshallah, quite a few of the problems which you mentioned will begin to dissipate. Because already we are observing with the grace of Allah many big changes taking place in some remote areas where I never could visit and they could never come to meet me. I have started receiving letters that we were Ahmadis, but we did not know what Ahmadiyat was. And we had no enthusiasm for Ahmadiyat. Now after watching MTA for a few days, we are transformed people. So everywhere with the grace of Allah, this miraculous change is taking place. Why not in San Francisco? This is no life, this half-hearted approach. It is something, a state between life and death. There is no pleasure in it. That is drudgery. Drudgery in religion can never survive. Either you have to fall on this side or to the other. And most people in this state of drudgery, I call it drudgery, because where to do good thing is labor, where it is exacting on you, where there is no deep real pleasure in doing good. That is what I call drudgery. And the drudgery cannot last long. If you remain loyal, your children will not remain loyal. They will drift away. So this state is not acceptable. And I hope you will, all of you who can afford, will install the antenna which will bring the international MTA to your homes. And we have worked out everything for you with the grace of Allah. The cost of antenna which will receive this program ideally, can you imagine how cheap it is or expensive some of you may think? It's less than $200. For less than $200 to have daily instructive, educational, useful programs, I don't think is a price too high to pay, or beyond the scope of any American family. So start working for it immediately, because the time is coming very close now, inshallah. Only we are waiting for some clearances from the government, licensing, that sort of thing. We hope and pray that we will get that license very soon. Then inshallah everywhere, even Carl sitting in his beautiful Yosemite Park will be with me, and also will be able to show his father what we do and how we think and how we live, right? Inshallah. I hope I have answered your question effectively, huh? Right? Good. Next question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Huzur. My name is Bashir Haq. I'm from Bangladesh.
Yes.
I just came last night from Los Angeles.
Yes, Bashir Haq, I know you very well. Please go on.
Thank you. First is, I called you for yesterday to Bangladesh, and I talked to my mom. My mom was sick, and she was taking one of your medicine. The medicine name was Antin crude.
What?
Antin crude.
Antimonium crude.
Yes, something.
That's right,
I couldn't.
Yes.
She had khasi, bahut khasi tha, and sath ulti bhi aa jate tha.
No, this is not the drug for that.
But I don't know, she was taking, and
this
she
is
said,
not the medicine. She has to write to me the symptoms fully, completely.
okay,
And then inshallah I'll prescribe something for her. If you know the symptoms,
okay,
then tell the private secretary and I'll prescribe it before leaving this place.
okay,
Okay?
okay, thank you. And the second question is, I had a friend like a year ago, and that friend asked me that question, that if Holy Quran is the last law,
Yes.
and the Prophet Muhammad is the perfect prophet and greatest prophet,
Yes.
so why there is another prophet after him?
Okay.
And the question was, if we follow the Holy Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, we'll be a good Muslim.
Yes.
So why need to...
I'll explain that.
Okay, thank you.
You see, this question has been dealt by me ends of time, innumerable times. But because again the lack of contact between you and us, if you had been a viewer of MTA, you would not ask this question. You would have answered this question instead. First of all, there is no prophet after Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. This should be understood. what is meant by after, in time or against. It can be understood differently. But I'll not go into all the detail of the meaning Baad as he is referring to. I'll just simply tell him that Hazrat sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Rasulullah knew Islam better, or this questioner knew Islam better? This is the first question. If he knew Islam better, Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, of course he knew. Then knowing that there was a complete book, code of conduct in the Quran, and knowing that he was the last prophet as he claimed, this boy, why did he prophesy for Jesus Christ to come again? Why did he prophesy for Al-Mahdi, the Imam appointed by Allah, to come? Did he not know the meaning of Islam? Was he not aware that the book Quran was complete? Ask him and tell me the answer if he has any. He who was the recipient of the verse Khatam al-Nabiyyin, he tells his own followers that a time would come when Islam would be about to die, as if it had finished off. And who would save Islam from death? Not the Quran, who will be still there. Not the Quran alone, but a prophet of Allah who would be sent by Allah. No, he calls him a prophet of God as well in so many words. He says, Masih ibn Maryam, he will come, and he says, then Nabiullah, Masih Nabiullah would do this, Nabiullah would do that. 4 times in a single hadith he uses the word Nabiullah. So this person is more sensitive to the term Nabiullah than Muhammad Rasulullah himself. That reminds me of a saying in Urdu which says, "Maa se zyada chahe phafa kutni kehlaye." Any woman who apparently loves a child more than the mother is a false, wanton woman. He couldn't be the real mother. You cannot love somebody's child more than the real mother does. So Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah loved the Quran, the God, and his own status far more than any modern mullah or anybody can ever claim. Yet knowing all these things, he said the things which I am going to quote again now to you. I said, I mentioned these in brief, but I am going to quote a full hadith. He says, "Sayati ala nasi zamanun la yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuhu wa la yabqa min al-Quran illa rasmuhu masajiduhum amiratun wa hiya kharabu min al-huda ulama'uhum sharru man tahta adimi as-sama." Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who knew he was the last, who knew the book was complete, he said, unfortunately, a time is going to come, an age is going to dawn, which will be so dark. Sajati al-Nazman lam yakun lam yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuhu. From Islam, nothing will be left but name. Everything is said in this. Islam will be there, but only in name. And the Quran, which he is telling you about, is complete book and perfect code of life, agreed. But what does Muhammad Rasulullah say, what the Quran would do at that time? وَلَمْ يَبْقَى مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ إِلَّا رَسْمُهُ. The Holy Quran will be left for nothing but for writing and reading. You will come across beautiful versions, copies of the Quran written even in gold. And the governments like Saudi Arabia will take pride. We had got Quran written in gold. what greater service we could do. But Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Lam yabqa min al-Quran illa rasmuhu. Now coming to the mosques, from these two statements it appears perhaps people will leave the mosque altogether, will desert them and will not visit mosque. If this is the statement, there will be no Islam but in name, no Quran but for the writing. The obvious conclusion one may draw would be that people have abandoned the mosque, but not so, not Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He explains this further by telling us, وَمَسَاجِدُهُمْ آمِرَةٌ. Despite this, their mosques will be full of people. وَهِيَ خَرَابٌ مِنَ الْهُدَى. But they will be empty of guidance, the empty of righteousness. So when he says there will be no Islam left, it doesn't mean that people would have renounced Islam and turned to other religions. He says they will remain Muslims, even mosque-going Muslims. But their presence will not make the mosques worthy of God's house, worthy of being called God's house. Because it says, Amiratun, they will be full of people. Kharabun min al-huda, empty of guidance. Now, ask this boy, whoever asked you, told you this, or asked you this question from you, hearing this hadith from Rasulullah sallam, what is his inference? Did he not know that the Quran is completed? Has become a perfect message and the final message? Did Muhammad Rasulullah sallam not know that he is the last and final and the best of prophets? So what is this happening despite these two things? Maybe people of that age had been disrespectful of ulama and have gone out of their reach of advice and admonishment. One may think, but not Muhammad Rasulullah sallam. You know what he said? He said, when such an age come, don't ever even think of going to the ulama. وَعُلَمَاؤُهُمْ شَرُّ مَنْ تَحْتَ عَظِيمِ السَّمَاءِ. The ulama, the religious scholars of these people would be the worst thing under the firmament of heaven. So what is left? To whom will you go? Ask him. Is this the Islam which he likes? What is the answer? How can this sorry state be changed? Not until God sends someone. And that is exactly what the Surah Jummah has mentioned, and this is exactly what Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallam interpreted those verses of Surah Jummah which I am going to recite to you. Surah Jummah means the surah which speaks of the gathering together of people, of Muslims, particularly during the Friday. But this Jummah word is very widely applicable, very comprehensive word. Getting together of ages also is covered by this surah. And this is exactly what I am going to tell you. In the beginning of surah, Allah tells us, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. It is Allah who has raised this Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallam from among the ignorant people, the illiterate people. And he was one of them. But suddenly a transformation has taken place. It is the same Muhammad who grew among you, who was unlettered, but he begins to recite the verses of the Quran to you. He is the recipient of Wahi. Now when he does that, he purifies you with the blessing of the word of God. Yuzakkihim. He purifies them, the Arabs who were so ignorant. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ, and teaches them the book, the knowledge of the book. But not that alone. Wal hikmah, and the wisdom of the book as well. The knowledge itself is not sufficient until you have a profound understanding of the knowledge and know the philosophy behind it and understand the logic of that. Please, I don't need it for it. Put it here. Now when this verse seems to have been completed, everything is said. The last prophet has come as it should be understood, and the last perfect book has come, and he has already made us understand the meaning of the words as well as the philosophies underlying them. This is what is mentioned. Where is the need for another one? Apparently none. But Allah knows better. After this verse, what follows is وَآخَرِينَ مِنْهُمْ لَمَّا يَلْحَقُوا بِهِمْ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. He will raise the same Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam among a people who will come later on, who have not met the people of today, the people who have been trained by Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, but will join them somehow. ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. This is a special grace of Allah. To whomsoever He may please, He will give this. Nobody can question Him. Now this was the verse which spoke of a people who will be born much later, much longer after, long after the time of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. Yet according to the Quran, in status, they will join the people of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam's time. It was very enigmatic, wasn't it? And this is exactly what the Sahaba present, the companions present at the time, thought. And one of them questioned pointedly, who will be those people who are mentioned in this verse, who have not met you yet will be counted as if they had met you, among whom you have not come, but as if you had come among them. It's a very special statement. You know the answer which Rasulullah Sallam gave? He turned around. There was Salman Farsi, a non-Arab, sitting close to him. He chose his shoulder to put his hand upon and said, لَوْ كَانَ الْإِيمَانُ إِنْ ذَا ثُرَيَّا لَنَالَهُ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ هَؤُلَاءِ. Even if the faith deserted the earth and ascended to the Pleiades, to the group of shining stars that is called Pleiades, some of these people or one of these people would bring it back from the heaven to down to earth. Now this is the meaning he understood from this verse. If this boy was sitting there, he would say, why Rasulullah Sallam? The message is complete, you are the perfect prophet. Why should the faith desert the earth despite all these things? But he said, yes, Allah had told him. This verse of the Quran had mentioned the very same subject. He said a time would come when despite these things there will be no faith left. Now the hadith, La yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuhu, is another version of exactly the same statement. No Islam will be left but in name. So then he said what would happen when the faith would abandon the earth and desert it altogether. One of these people, that is Salman Farsi, the only single person present who was a non-Arab. This is very important, significant. All around him were Arabs. He did not choose one of their shoulders to say one of these people would bring it back. Because this is the message. Faith is the monopoly of nobody. Allah decides to grant His favor to whomsoever He pleases. And this is exactly how the verse ends. ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ. This is Allah's grace. يُؤْتِي مَن يَشَاءُ. He will give it to whomsoever He pleases. وَاللَّهُ ذُو الْفَضْلِ الْعَظِيمِ. And He has great favors, great graces. Nobody can question why not again an Arab? Who can say that? Why Arab in the first place? Because it was Allah's grace, He chose an Arab. No, we can't ask Him. Why? So the second time again, no one has authority to question Him and say, why not Arab again? And this is exactly what is mentioned so clearly. So Rasulullah ﷺ understood the Quran better than anybody else. That is why he chose the shoulder of Salman Farsi, a non-Arab, and said, a man from among them will bring the faith back from heaven to the earth. This is what Hazrat Masih Maud Islam has done. This is what is uniting all the Ahmadis into all the continents, 140 and more countries. They have become one. This is Jummah. This is the meaning of Surah Jummah. And not only this, He has united them in status with the people of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah's day. If a mullah does not like it, what can we do? The Quran says that. And Muhammad Sallallahu has understood it like this. What can we do about it? And yet this boy says, where is the need? All right, forget about the Quranic message and traditions for a while. Come to the time today, now. What is happening in Pakistan? What is happening in Arabia and other countries of the Muslim world? Most of the people who appear to bear witness in the name of God in the courts tell lies. There is no honesty left at any level in Pakistan. Robbers abound in the whole entire province of Sindh, but they have also started abounding in the Punjab and elsewhere. Corruption is the order of the day. Lies are so common that it will be a rare phenomenon to find a man who is really truthful. And robbery and usurpation of other people's rights and fraud, name a crime and read a newspaper of Pakistan and there you will find it. Day in and day out. This is the ugly, dark story repeated, and I don't have to produce any witnesses. Pick any paper of any daily paper or any monthly or any magazine of Pakistan, and there in the large letters will be written how many rapes have been committed, how many robberies have been committed, how many murders, how many abductions in the Muslim state of Pakistan. How beautifully true Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah was when he said, Sayati ala nasi zamanun la yabqa min al-Islami illa ismuhu. No Islam will be left but in name. And the name, you go to television, Pakistani television, you listen to the radio, Islam, 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 so much overdosing of Islam that people are actually getting fed up of Islam because it's not in their lives. Islam is not playing any role in the family affairs, in the day-to-day relationship, in trade, in legal affairs, in moral values, in schools, in colleges. You see, there are mass scale imitation committed in the examinations of colleges. And if you read the right items of the news relating to these things, you'll be surprised to see that the entire examination hall is supplied with papers which have already been solved by some other person outside. And printed copies are distributed for them only to write in their own hands. And if an invigilator or a superintendent dare to ask something, to say something to any boy, he'll be either beaten to death or maimed for life. Nobody can say anything. But there is no need for that. He's already bribed. The whole system is bribed. This is Islam. And this boy says there is no need for anyone to come. What does he mean? Let Islam die. Allah will not. That is why he sent Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam. That is why there is a great revolution taking place all over the world. A unified Jamaat is being born with faith, with sacrifices, with great resolution and following practice to rehabilitate Islam where it had lost its value. No, these lessons, these efforts all over the world, they are a symbol of Islam making a huge effort to be revived. It was done through Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. How could he be a liar? So, if you understand these things, it is impossible for anyone to, point out a finger at this and just hollow words. The Holy Quran is complete. I agree, it is complete. But why is it not effective? Why is it misread? Why the 72 sects of Islam produce their authority from the Quran itself, that they are right and the rest of the 71 are wrong? What you miss is a prophet of God, a divine reformer who has been guided afresh and who has that quality of purification, where all of those who have faith in him are transformed into people who sacrifice or ready to sacrifice whatever they have of their lives, of their property, of their wealth. So this phenomenon of rejuvenation of Islam is being witnessed by us only because of the blessing that Allah has shown us in the form of Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. A question, written question or? Okay, all right, give it to me. Now you understand this? Alhamdulillah. I wish you had not told us that it is from Lajna. The question is, what is Islam's view on contraception? Now this question should have been asked by a man. Why to embarrass Lajna with such a question? There was no name, so somebody, innocently said this is from Lajna. The fact is, this question should have been asked with reference to the debate raging in the world, and it would have been a better way of saying it. It is not just a question of contraception. The question is the relationship between the mayors to planned families, for the fear that the population will run ahead of the food product and man will be left without food because the system of God was defective. He made laws of human production at a different pace and laws of provisions production at a different pace. So one wheel ran ahead and the other was left behind. If this is the meaning of family planning, there is no need of using any term contraception, anything at all. If this is the meaning of family planning, this is the only family planning which is forbidden in Islam. The Holy Quran categorically rejects this view because it is a renouncement of the concept of God's wisdom. Such a God is not to be believed in. What sort of Hakim Alim he is, knows everything and is provident for the whole world, who did not know that his laws were unevenly balanced. And again, this is wrong. The history gives it a lie. Because the famines never took place because of overpopulation. They were result of different causes in nature and some moral degradations among human beings. So when the population of this earth was so small as compared to now, did not famines take place? What happened at the time of Joseph? That great famine, which covered not only Egypt but spilled out around, and people from different countries ran to the shelter of prophethood to seek food. Food was there, but only because God had told his prophet that there was to be a famine and the food, plenty of food would be there, don't waste it. The food is always plentiful in the world, only it is a carelessness on the part of man which is responsible for these famines which we are witnessing. The time when Ethiopia was dying of hunger, when Sudan was dying of hunger, when other parts of some Africa were dying of hunger, the problem in Europe was mountains of butter and mountains of eggs and mountains of meat, what to do with it? You see? And if somebody suggested, send it to Africa, they said, no, don't be silly, Why should we send it to Africa? A trickle, of course, but not more. So it is a human failure or a failure of sometimes crops, etc., due to drought, etc. That is the obvious reason. But at the same time, in the world, in reachable vicinity, there always is food. So read the history of famines and you will see that the famines have no relationship to the number of human beings present in the world at that certain cross point of history. In all ages there have been famines, and in all ages there would be famines. It is in fact the famine of the moral values of regard for fellow human beings which makes a famine so disastrous. Otherwise the world resources could be rushed to certain areas, but there are political ties, political exigencies, the political relationship with some, political hatred of some, which prevent people from, and rich people as well, who can afford it, in transporting food in time. So what I'm telling you is based on hard facts. That is why the Holy Quran says, if you do family planning for the fear of paucity of food, I will not permit you that, because that would be a reflection on me. For other genuine reasons, go ahead and do it, in the sense that God has not forbidden it for other purposes. Right? Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Ahmed Masood.
Yes.
And I'm not new to Ahmadiyyat.
But did you say I am not new to Ahmadiyyat?
Yeah. I did my bath on 14th of March of this year. But
still you say you are not new to Ahmadiyyat. Because within this short period you have progressed so well that with the grace of Allah you have developed a sense of belonging. Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Okay, I accept it.
I have a question about, I got a few habits, what do you call, they are bad habits when I was non-Ahmadi.
You don't have to mention these things in name relating, you should ask such questions in third persons. If somebody has a bad habit, that is why I objected to the way of this question was handed over to me. We can bypass some embarrassments without telling a lie. Why not? Okay?
So somebody has a bad habit of listening to music.
Okay.
My question is, what is the status of
You see, it all depends
music?
on, this is what you call a bad habit. It all depends on the degree of the habit and the nature of the music. If you see, the music in itself as a whole cannot be dubbed as bad. Even the wine is not dubbed by the Quran as totally bad. Even juggling and these things are not dubbed as entirely bad. What is described in the principle described is that a thing which has overwhelmingly or more than 50% bad in it should be abandoned and rejected. A thing which has less than 50% bad things, its better things should be utilized and the bad things should be avoided. This is the principle, okay? Now music falls in the no man's land, in fact. It is neither forbidden entirely nor permitted without any conditions. We know at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, when he walked into Medina, the ladies of Medina welcoming him sang a song of welcome, plus they beat on the drum, which is called daf. No, that was a sort of music available to the Arabs. Nobody can say it was not music. But this was not the practice of Rasulullah Sallam to permit the companions to go on enjoying music, revelries and music, sessions, and to be given up to music. That was not their habit. Instead, they enjoyed recitation of the Quran or listening to the good verses and meaningful verses of great poets. But gradually their taste was developed and they shifted from poetry to the Quran ultimately. So it requires some time of patience to improve the quality of your taste. And without that, to abandon certain things would be rather cruel. In these things, it's a matter of taste. In some other things, the matter of prohibition is fast and hard and you can't change it. You can't say, I have to improve my taste for water before I can stop drinking wine. No, that will not be permissible. Because wine is forbidden, and what is forbidden is forbidden. But music does not fall into that category. For that you can acquire a wise approach of systematic gradual deliverance from that habit. You understand?
Got it.
And as far as the pop music is concerned, I don't know how people can tolerate that. Just sheer nonsense. No, I don't disrespect music altogether because I know the classical music had some nobility in it. It brought up the best in man in a way that man would not understand. But the music writers were noble-minded. They wanted to bring, even if the theme was miserable, it wanted to bring the question of misery of others to the listener of music, that the others were suffering. They became sad without anybody naming the people, without any tale being told in words. The music delivered all these things. And they became sad and they started crying, not knowing for what. But when they came out of the music halls, they were nobler people than before. So the music served a purpose, and a noble purpose. Here in the pop music, when the people leave that hall, they leave with some sort of madness and craving for something they cannot have. And for that even they have to go to kill others or mug others for some drug or something. That elation, artificial elation, requires further help of drugs. So what the taste left behind by this modern so-called music is ugly and evil. And the society under this influence is becoming uglier and more permissive, more careless of the traditional values. So this music is obviously evil and sinful. So I can't treat every music alike. That is why I said you have to be wise and be selective in your choice. Occasional brush with music cannot be considered as a practice whereby you will be sent to hell. I assure you not. But an occasional brush with music which draws you into itself at the cost of higher values, at the cost of memory of Allah, at the cost of prayers, where you are taken over by music, and that becomes all your ambition and what you say, just a minute, obsession. If that happens, then you are a loser, obviously. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, which is the next question from ladies, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
I'm Michelle from the San Jose Jamaat, and I just wanted to know that if it is just...
I know a microphone is provided to you, but microphone also requires louder voice.
Okay.
At the level you are speaking, I can't understand. Maybe my ears are a bit hardening. Huh?
Okay.
Now it's better. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I just wanted to know that if it's jaiz in Islam, that if when we're dead, can we try and donate our body parts?
Yes, one can.
Thanks, that's it.
You see, again the same, you must understand the principles. To save life in Islam is very important.
Okay.
To save the quality of life also is very important. But not at the cost of a living person. Because then in the name of saving life, you'll be destroying life on the other hand. So that is why you can't say that mother must be killed to save the child she loves. But if the mother is dying anyway, and after her death a part can be removed from her and given to a child or anybody else, that is good business. That is sound and acceptable in Islam and promoted in Islam. But again, even in lifetime, if parting with one kidney, according to the medical science, poses no real danger to you, only some discomfort. Even that is permissible in Islam. You see? So the principle is life must be respected, and unless God positively forbids you to do something, you must try to save life and improve the quality of life. So if people die, what use they have for their eyes? If those eyes can give light and vision to some blind people, why not? Islam is a very generous religion. It's not a small, petty thing. It's a great religion. So that is why it should be understood in its true perspective, and service to mankind is the second highest principle after worship to God. Next, please. I say you should thank me for keeping the same time as London. By my watch it's only 6 o'clock. And now the second question, please, from the ladies' side.
Assalamu alaikum. The next question.
Again you are repeating the same innocent mistake of either staying away too far away from the microphone or speaking too lowly. Please speak out loudly, closer to the microphone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
The question that I had was from another sister, actually. It was according to that a couple of months ago there was a show on TV about ancient prophecies. That was about Nostradamus. They were trying to translate the Bible and Nostradamus. And of course we believe in the Holy Quran.
I could only understand up to show on TV. After that... see. Yes, I know all this is just hocus pocus, no more.
That's what we wanted to know.
You know, I have read Nostradamus, I have read about him, and I also discussed this subject with some of his fans. And I read the explanations of the book as well. It was all totally nonsensical. What was attributed to him was never said by him. And I told one of the, not one only, but some others as well, of his fans to pinpoint some prophecies in relation to now into the future and say this is what he has said would happen, and then I'll see if that comes true or not. He could never pinpoint a single prophecy which was yet to come to come true. What they do is they start working backwards and search the book for any possible, similar thing, and not for that either. Even dissimilar things can be stretched to appear to mean something which they attribute to Nostradamus. Poor Nostradamus is dead and he can't defend himself. Leave him alone, please. Yes, please.
May I make a comment? Herb Ritual.
Shall we wait? Will you wait, please? We'll send this microphone to you.
Thank you.
And remove it from there. From the yes.
Herb Ritual, the father of Carl, your esteemed leader, married my son and daughter-in-law, and was kind enough to name my grandson. The only comment I would like to make, not a question at the moment, is do you Ahmadiyans realize what a fantastic worldly scholar, teacher, and advisor you have? Listen to him. If you don't believe me in that, you should have watched him with the children. Now it's easy to teach and confide in adults, but try teaching youngsters and having the affinity with them, and they are the core of the faith. Thank you.
Would somebody help me in fully understanding the gist of... Dr. Sahib, would you help me, please?
Well, as a matter of praise to you for...
Listen, please. Come to the microphone, because, with due respects to you, sometimes a truly American pronunciation is not fully understandable for me, And your pronunciation of English is truly American.
Definitely.
That's right, yes. Okay.
Herb is father of Carl Richard.
Yes.
And essentially he praised you for all the wisdom and all the teaching you're doing to the youngsters.
That I understood, but I didn't want to highlight that. I wanted to understand what question was based on this. Was it just an observation, or he wanted some advice which I failed to understand? That is
Just observation.
just observation. Thank you so much. God bless you.